Imagine this scenario. You are a soldier, far from home, fresh food, a distant memory. Your rations are often spoiled, or worse, non-existent. Survival itself becomes a daily battle. What if the key to your endurance came from a simple, sealed metal container, a humble can, unassuming yet revolutionary? This is the story of canned food, a story of innovation, desperation, and preservation. The concept seems so ordinary today, doesn't it? Walk into any grocery store. Aisles upon aisles of canned goods greet you. Soups, vegetables, fruits, meats, fish. An entire culinary world locked away, waiting patiently on a shelf. It's easy to take this convenience for granted. But the journey of that can, from a wartime necessity to a pantry staple, is a fascinating tale. It's a testament to human ingenuity. It's about solving a fundamental problem: how to keep food edible, nutritious, and safe over long periods and vast distances. This simple invention changed the way we eat, travel, and even wage war. Before the can, preserving food was a tricky business. Drying, salting, smoking, pickling. These were the ancient methods. They worked to a degree, but they weren't always reliable. Let's set the scene. It's the late 18th century, Napoleon Bonaparte, a name synonymous with ambition. His armies were marching across Europe, but there was a persistent, nagging problem. How do you feed thousands of soldiers on the move? Fresh supplies were unreliable, foraging took time and resources, spoiled food was a constant threat. Napoleon understood this. He knew an army marched on its stomach. So, in 1795, the French government offered a hefty prize, 12,000 francs. The challenge: find a practical method for preserving large quantities of food. Enter Nicolas Appert, a Parisian confectioner and chef, not a scientist, but an experimenter. He spent years tinkering with food preservation. His method was based on a simple observation. Food cooked inside a sealed container, if sealed properly and heated sufficiently, did not spoil. He believed that air caused spoilage. Remove the air, keep it out, and food would last. Appert's process involved placing food into thick, wide-mouthed glass jars. He carefully sealed these jars with cork and wire, making them as airtight as possible. Then, he cooked the sealed jars in boiling water. The heat killed the microorganisms, and the seal prevented new ones from entering. In 1810, after extensive trials, Appert presented his method. He won the 12,000 franc prize. His book, The Art of Preserving All Kinds of Animal and Vegetable Substances for several years, became a bestseller. Appertizing, as it was called, was born. The foundation for canned food was laid, all thanks to a chef and an emperor's need. Nicolas Appert's glass jars were revolutionary. They worked. Food could be preserved for extended periods. The French Navy used Appert's bottled provisions on long voyages. But glass had its drawbacks. It was fragile, breakable, heavy. Transporting large quantities of glass-bottled food was risky. A better container was needed. The solution came from across the English Channel. In 1810, British inventor Peter Durand patented a new idea. His idea wasn't about the preservation process itself. Durand's innovation was all about the container. He proposed using cylindrical tin-plated iron canisters, tin cans. These were lighter than glass. More importantly, they were far less prone to breaking. They could withstand rough handling. They could be stacked more easily. This was a game-changer for mass production and transportation of preserved foods. By 1813, Donkin and Hall were supplying tinned rations to the British Royal Navy. The early tin cans were handmade, thick, and often sealed with lead solder. The transition from Appert's delicate glass jars to Durand's sturdy tin cans marked a pivotal moment. The can was ready to conquer. So we have these wonderful new tin cans, sturdy, reliable, filled with preserved goodness. Fantastic, right? Well, mostly. There was one significant hurdle. How do you open these things? Early cans were not the user-friendly pop-top wonders we have today. They were thick-walled fortresses of food. Instructions on early cans, if provided at all, were often quite blunt. Something along the lines of, cut round the top near the outer edge with a chisel and hammer. Yes, you read that right, a chisel and a hammer. Imagine a hungry soldier after a long march faced with a can of beef and a set of tools more suited to stonemasonry. It was a workout before the meal. Other rudimentary tools included knives, bayonets, or even rocks if desperation truly set in. Getting into your dinner was an ordeal. It required strength, determination, and a fair bit of patience. This difficulty in opening cans persisted for decades. For nearly 50 years after the invention of the tin can, there was no dedicated device designed specifically to open it. People struggled, they improvised. The military was the driving force behind the initial development of canned food. Napoleon wanted to feed his troops. The British Navy quickly adopted tin cans for its sailors. This connection between canned food and warfare deepened as the 19th century progressed. Canned provisions offered a level of food security and nutritional consistency previously unimaginable in military campaigns. No longer were armies solely reliant on often unreliable local foraging or easily spoiled traditional rations. Consider the various conflicts and expeditions of the mid to late 1800s. The Crimean War, for instance. Canned foods played a role in sustaining British and French troops. While logistical issues still abounded, the availability of preserved meats and vegetables was a significant boon. Explorers venturing into uncharted territories also relied heavily on canned supplies. The can was becoming an indispensable companion to adventurers and soldiers alike. As the 19th century steamrolled ahead, so did the Industrial Revolution. Factories sprouted, cities grew, transportation networks expanded with railways and steamships, and amidst this whirlwind of change, the tin can found its place. It wasn't just for soldiers and sailors anymore. The technology began to spread to the civilian population. The same qualities that made cans useful for the military preservation, portability, durability, also appealed to a rapidly urbanizing society. People were moving to cities away from direct sources of fresh food. Canning factories started to appear in various countries, particularly in the United States. Entrepreneurs recognized the commercial potential. They began canning a wider variety of foods. Fruits, vegetables, fish, meats, and even condensed milk found their way into tins. This expansion was fueled by improvements in manufacturing. Can making became more mechanized, more efficient. If canned food proved its mettle in 19th century conflicts, it became an absolute cornerstone of sustenance during the two world wars of the 20th century. The scale of these global conflicts was unprecedented. Millions of soldiers were mobilized. Entire nations were geared towards the war effort. Feeding these vast armies, and indeed the civilian populations back home, was a monumental logistical challenge. Canned food rose to the occasion. It became as vital to the war machine as bullets and bandages. Its ability to provide safe, transportable, and long-lasting nutrition was indispensable. During World War I, canned rations were a lifeline for soldiers in the trenches. Conditions were horrific. Fresh food was a luxury few could afford. Tins of bully beef, makanaki stew, and pork and beans became essential parts of a soldier's diet. The journey of canned food wasn't just about wars and industrial expansion, it also had its share of quirks, curious innovations, and downright strange contents. Let's talk about that pesky opening problem again. For nearly half a century, people battled cans with primitive tools. Finally, in 1858, Ezra Warner of Waterbury, Connecticut, patented the first practical can opener. It was a rather intimidating, bayonet-like device. Not exactly elegant, but it worked better than a chisel. Later, in 1870, William Lyman invented the familiar rotary wheel can opener, a design that, with refinements, is still used today. Convenience, at last. With easier access came more experimentation. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw canneries trying to preserve almost anything imaginable. Some of these ventures were successful and enduring. Think canned tuna, which became a global phenomenon. So here we are in 2025. We've traced the can from Napoleonic battlefields to global pantries. What's its role today? Is it an outdated relic in an age of fresh, frozen, and freeze-dried options? Not at all. The humble can remains a modern marvel, a cornerstone of food security, convenience, and even sustainability in many households and situations. Its fundamental advantages, long shelf life, affordability, and durability, continue to make it incredibly relevant. Think about emergency preparedness. Hurricanes, earthquakes, power outages, canned food is a go-to, providing sustenance when fresh options are unavailable. The affordability factor is huge. For many families, canned fruits, vegetables, beans, and fish offer a budget-friendly way to get essential nutrients. They often cost significantly less than their fresh or frozen counterparts, especially when out of season. And let's not forget the nutritional value. Modern canning processes are very efficient at locking in vitamins and minerals. Sometimes, Canned foods can even be more nutrient-rich than fresh produce that has spent days or weeks in transit and storage. The can provides accessible nutrition to a vast number of people around the world. Then there's the convenience. Pre-cooked beans, chopped tomatoes, ready-to-eat soups, canned goods save precious time in the kitchen. For busy individuals and families, they are a lifesaver. It's wild to think that one of the simplest items in your pantry has a history shaped by war, invention, and survival. If you found this fascinating, give us a like, and hit subscribe to uncover more stories hiding in plain sight.